Guys, what is it like to be a sniper defending Kherson from Russian reinvasion? Well, AP News has us covered. We're going to be breaking down this entire sniper operation, and it's awesome. Let's get into it. Okay, so first off, shout out to this dude coming to work in his like SUV. But when you look at this guy's gear, you can see he's got his medical kit. He has his back plates. He's got what looks like a small backpack mounted to it, probably with a couple of like, you know, I'm thinking cigarettes, a lighter, maybe some snacks, maybe other gear like a notepad and a notebook, and his what they call dope book, data on previous engagements. It's how snipers sort of track and collect data on their particular rifle, their particular rounds, and understand more and go through their continuous learning process. You can also see up here, looks like he has a spotting scope. Yep, so this looks like a semi-automatic 50 caliber sniper rifle of some sort, maybe a Barrett, but I'm not super familiar with this. You can see it's got what looks like a huge scope with a cap here to reduce the lens flare. But looks like it's probably at least 12 times, maybe more. 12 times magnification. You can see other gear this guy's rocking. He's got his radio. He's got his gloves clipped on there. He's obviously has his either very expensive or convincing knockoff watch. All right, so you can see right now they are doing what's probably an initial reconnaissance with their drone. They are looking at the areas where they think the enemy may be choosing to approach. So they're doing their terrain analysis, right? Looking at observation, cover, fields of fire, key avenues of approach, any obstacles, anything that's going to give them insight into what specific areas the enemy is likely to try to pass through, and where they need to position themselves so that they can not only get a good field of fire, but that they're not exposed to the enemy unnecessarily, and so that they can egress should they need to.
Oh, отлично.
So it looks like the drone operator has found some areas where it looks like maybe there's a natural river crossing, or where Russian forces may attempt to cross the river. Say a reconnaissance team or a small group of Spetsnaz may try to, what do they call it? Like deploy a small boat to cross. Shout out to this dude, got his lighter right here. And it's also pretty interesting that he's putting on his balaclava. Why? And he's got his ear probe. Why did he put on the balaclava? Well, it's because sometimes, you know, if your face is a little, can get a little shiny or greasy, and especially if you're using sunscreen or bug repellent or another thing like that, it can just be better to cover your face and not have it be quite so visible. The devil is in the details when it comes to sniping type operations. And so, yeah, the ability to conceal more of your skin, just look a little darker, is going to pay dividends. So right now it looks like they've identified the building they want to be in, and they're starting to look for a suitable location. You can see here the sniper himself is, he's looking out and he's trying to decide, is this a good field of fire, right? Can I engage the targets I want to engage while staying myself covered and concealed from enemy observation? Once he's found the location, he's taking his main weapon system up there, and it looks like he's operating as a 4-man team. There's a drone operator, probably the sniper, a spotter, and maybe another security team member who's going to do security. They may also be working in shifts. So there may actually be somebody doing drone work, spotter, sniper, and then a sort of second shift spotter and sniper. That would also that's a potential way to do it. Classically in US doctrine, right, snipers will themselves stay in place for a fairly long period of time, but even they have, human beings have biological limits, right, for how long they can maintain focus. And if this is a defensive operation, right, if they're assuming that they just want someone to continuously observe the riverbank to ensure that Ukrainian command is aware and that someone is deterring Russian forces from attempting a river crossing, then you're going to want to have some sort of ability to keep your team in shifts. So this is really fascinating. Now, classically, snipers will use, or snipers spotter will use an observation scope. This is just a 10 or 20 times magnification optic that you look through and you can observe. But these guys are using a high magnification camera. I can't really tell, but this may say 24 times. And it looks like it's attached to a power source. And this will enable them to actually have the camera be exposed in ways that a person wouldn't be comfortable doing. It's pretty interesting. All right, so he was briefly there adjusting his scope because he had a sense of the distance from his engagement area. And so he was probably setting the windage and elevation in such a way that it was going to allow him to engage those targets, at least have the proper windage or proper elevation. And now he's set. So here's what's interesting. You can see the camera is actually pointed around the corner. These two guys are sitting here. Looks like they're on observation duty. And then here are their two rifles stacked to the side. It's pretty interesting. We saw an individual AR mag that the sniper was carrying. So I imagine he may also have a rifle that's just not caught in the shot. It could also be like here and we just can't see it. It's maybe folded up or something. But you can see this is a pretty rudimentary setup. But you can see very clearly the sniper's looking out through this window. So I wonder what the deal is with the camera. I'm curious. You hear that? You hear that Android text? So you can see here, the sniper. These guys are observing what they can from the camera. It looks like it's literally being fed into an Android notebook, which is pretty fascinating. Or Notepad, or whatever the brand is, Samsung. Okay, he talks for a while, and it's entirely in Ukrainian. According to the comments, he talks about how they expect the Russians to try to continue to harass Kherson using heavier and heavier weapons. So that's a shot of the screen of the camera. You can see it's looking out across the river. And you also can see that the sniper is willing to take a look and get that additional field of view. They're looking, they're really carefully scanning the tree line. You have to remember, guys, that, these things don't, this isn't a video game, right? In Call of Duty, you can look away and look back, and one dude may have skidded across the screen. But in reality, this isn't going to happen quickly, especially if they're trying to deter a river crossing. You're almost certainly going to have to come to the edge of the river, make some observations, make some notes. You'll actually have to go back, probably do several rounds of reconnaissance before you effect a river crossing. All that means is that these guys are going to have time. And that's why the sniper can kind of break his position for a minute, take a look at this. Literally, you stay in a position like that long enough, your arms will start to go numb, your focus will get really bad. You've got to operate in a way that's sustainable. right? And he's trying to probably triangulate what they're seeing on the camera to what he is seeing through his scope. And he wants a cigarette. And he is putting that cigarette down. Jesus. You also worth noting, he's ditched his body armor. This actually makes sense. One, it seems very uncomfortable. But two, you have to think when you're lying down like this, its ability to protect you is pretty limited, especially from attacks to the front. You know, the front plate is going to be flattened out like this. The rear plate's also going to be flattened out, and it would only offer you protection from someone coming up behind you. But in Kherson, that's not really a risk.
Куда пошел? Опять вправо?
All right, looks like maybe they've spotted somebody.
Ага, вижу.
First off, I want to point out a good shooter, right? Sniper or otherwise. You notice that before and after the round discharges, look at his shooting position. It's almost unchanged. He barely even blinks.
Опять вправо? Ага, вижу.
You see that? Still looking down the scope. And that's a 50 cal. That thing's got a punch.
Пуля прошла четко. Этот, походу, упал, а второй съебался.
So if it's semi-automatic, there probably is a follow-up shot in there. And again, looking in the comments, someone translated and said that he said that there was 2 individuals near the riverbank. He fired and took out one of them, and the other one took off running.
Только шел влево. Собака уже побежала, тоже посела стрела.
And there we go. There's shots fire shots out. Fire, you know, rounds complete or whatever. I know that's an artillery term. Don't roast me, commenters. But anyway, that is what we saw. A look at just what it means
I tell you a funny story?
to defend Kherson. Anyway, guys, if you want even more combat footage, the hardcore stuff that YouTube won't let me show you, you know that's all on the Patreon. Thanks so much to my Lieutenant Tier patrons. Link to all that's in the description. Check it out. I'll see you all in the next one.